hate to interrupt everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I hate to simultaneously interrupt so many conversations. And it's wonderful to see everyone visiting together. It's the most wonderful time of the year, right? Hope you had a lovely week. I know Thanksgiving, for some, is just pure bliss. For others, it's sadness. For some of us, it's bittersweet time of year and this whole season of the holidays that we're entering. It finally is getting cold, so it feels like it is. At least we're moving towards winter. Well, we're so glad that you're here. As we often like to say here, today's service is kind of different than usual. It is our annual bread service. Often we do it the Sunday before Thanksgiving. Because of scheduling, we did it the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and I think it worked. You know, everyone, you're here. Maybe it's for the bread, maybe for the fellowship. But we do welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Fayetteville. And if you can say that 3 times fast, you can be a member too. My name is Gene Van Zant. I've been a member here since 2001, so almost 24 years, I know. I was a child, yeah. And I am the leader of the Chalice team, which is the group that organizes our Sunday services. And I'm thankful for the Chalice team. I want to read you the current members. Carol Olson, who's a superstar, and especially for today, organizing the bread and the tables, and queen of the kitchen. Thank you, Carol. Bill, and thank you. Anyone who wants to volunteer, by the way, for refreshments, yes, please. Bill and Diane Vigiant up here, who are filling in today, actually, to do the Chalice team. To do the Chalice lighting, because Matt is down, feeling under the weather. Jory Costello and Brenda Parker, our musicians, our accompanists, are part of the Chalice team. Leanda Gavin, David Thurstonson, our AV wizard. Mele, Nancy Garner, Abby Horsager, Rev Renée, and myself. Woo! And we're always looking for more volunteers. And if you don't want a committee meeting, we need people for things like advancing the slides. Thank you, Sherry Withy is helping us with that today. Creating the slides, doing the children's story, and all, lighting the chalice. There's all sorts of, if you don't want to commit necessarily to being on the team permanently. At this time of Thanksgiving, I think it is very appropriate to acknowledge that we reside in a state whose native occupants, including the Osage, the Caddo, and the Quapaw nations, were expelled by some of our ancestors. We further recognize that the Trail of Tears runs very close to where we're standing right now, perhaps over this actual ground. And it was here that other Native Americans, including particularly the Cherokee, were forcibly removed. And we cannot change the past, but we can remember it, acknowledge it, try to correct the mistakes, and look to a future that ensures justice for all people. We are grateful also for the opportunity to live out our common principles. That was a reminder to be here, and you made it, so it's okay. To bring justice and a good reminder to us all to silence our devices and make sure to live out our principles and values, and to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, and to threaten or to resist all that. What I meant to say, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people.
We can threaten what resists the earth.
And threaten what resists the earth. Maybe that works. I don't know. We're the threat. Thank you. Good to have you. Danger is here with us. And I'm completely thrown off schedule, but I think that's okay, because Rev Renée is going to give us and I will say our service is a little different than usual. Our joys and concerns, we're going to, because of the tables, we're not going to have people come up front. If you do have something to write on one of the yellow cards, which is on the back of the seat you're in, we will be reading those, and we'll have you pass them down later in the service if you have a joy or concern.
And if you're struggling to find this card, someone can help you. Just ask. Someone can help you.
Okay.
Is it my turn? Okay. Hi. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Okay. Is it doing it? Is it going? No. Uh-oh. Oh, all right. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Beautiful miracles sitting in these chairs. I truly hope you had a great weekend. I definitely had a great weekend. I went to a dear friend of mine's home to celebrate the holiday with her and with her traditions. And one of the things that we did is we went to a gratitude feast. She's a member of an organization that holds a gratitude potluck every year just before Thanksgiving. And these are her people. She loves these folks, and they love her. And this was the first time that I was going to this event, and so I was nervous. It's a big event, lots of folks, in a big conference room with a buffet table going all the way down one wall and half the way across the other. Now, y'all, I like to cook. I had worked really hard, and I had made this beef stew, and it was tasty. It was really tasty, actually. I made a whole crock pot full, and it was gone. I'm a pretty good cook. But even with good beef stew, I was still nervous. We were about to walk in, and I could feel that my breath was kind of shallow, and I was a little bit shaky. I wanted people to like me. I wanted people to like my food. I wanted to make a good impression. I. Hear how many times I said I in that paragraph? Too many. As we were walking in the door, I was all up in my ego. And I was worried about myself. Me. You know what a gratitude fest is about? Not me. And ultimately, if I break it down, it was fear. Fear of not being enough. And where does fear live? Well, it lives in the ego. But after the meal, something extraordinary happened. Yes, all of the food was delicious. Yes, the meal was lovely. Yes, the people were charming. And yes, they seemed to think I was also charming. But the magic happened when I stepped away from the table after the meal was over and walked into this huge kitchen and sort of moved into autopilot and started washing dishes. Almost in that instant, my fears went away. They just fell away, all of it. And I came out of myself, out of my head. I quit worrying about whether or not people liked me and just put my head down and did the work. There was a lot to clean. And let me tell you, what I learned later from my friend is that is when I made the good impression. When I put myself in service to the group. When I put myself in service. When I took my focus off of myself and put it on others. Helping. Everything fell right into place. My shoulders relaxed. I got out of my head and felt quietly confident. And once the kitchen was clean, I felt great. I was laughing and joking with the other folks in the kitchen and making friends. And as we were leaving, it hit me like a soccer ball to the face. I realized what had happened. I had been afraid, insecure, worried, tense, in my ego, feelings that we all feel from time to time. And even though the meal was nice and the people and I were chatting and it was nice, everybody was nice and it was kind, but I was still all about me and nervous. But the moment I put myself into service, all the good things started to happen. Focusing outside myself. And when I realized that, the joy landed on me like a lovely service butterfly. Have you had an experience like this? So the next time you get into a situation like this one, because we all do, where we feel nervous or scared or up in our egos or all about ourselves, try it. Try turning your focus and doing something for someone else. I'm going to do it right now. Diane, Bill, would you light our chalice?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm not Matt. Please join me in saying the words as Bill lights the chalice for us. Love is the spirit of this community, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in truth, and to help one another. Thus do we covenant together.
Now, I don't know if we should stand, actually. Let's not stand because the tables are pretty close together, but we are going to sing hymn number 360, and it will be, you can get your hymnal or you can look on the slides. The hymnals will be under your chairs, but it's okay if you don't get them. Okay, Brenda. We didn't quite make it on the slides. I had changed, it's hard sometimes because these hymns are a part of our history, but they definitely speak in the gender binary. They do, because they didn't know better. That's the great thing about UUism. When you know better, you do better. And so we had changed the words, but it didn't quite make it onto the slides. And so just know that we do recognize the gender binary and try to overcome that. So now for our story for all ages, The Last Stop on Market Street by Matt de la Peña. Last stop on Market Street for Luna and her two grandmas. CJ pushed through the church doors, skipped down the steps. The outside air smelled like freedom, but it also smelled like rain, which freckled CJ's shirt and dripped down his nose. He ducked under his Nana's umbrella saying, "How come we gotta wait for the bus in all this wet?" "Trees get thirsty too," his Nana told him. "Don't you see that big one drinking through a straw?" CJ looked for a long time, but never saw a straw. From the bus stop, he watched water pool on flower petals, watched rain patter against the windshield of a nearby car. His friend Colby chimed in, gave CJ a wave, and drove off with his dad. "Nana, how come we don't got a car?" The bus creaked to a stop in front of them. It sighed and sagged, and the doors swung open. "Boy, what do we need a car for?" "Sherry, will you go back one?" "Boy, what do we need a car for? We got a bus that breathes fire. And old Mr. Dennis, who always has a trick for you." Thank you. "What's that I see?" Mr. Dennis asked. He pulled a coin from behind CJ's ear, placed it in his palm. Nana laughed her deep laugh and pushed CJ along. They sat right up front. The man across the way was tuning a guitar. An old woman with curlers had butterflies in a jar. Nana gave everyone a great big smile and a good afternoon, and she made sure CJ did the same. The bus lurched forward and stopped, lurched forward and stopped. Nana hummed as she knit. "How come we always got to go here after church?" CJ said. "Miguel and Colby never have to go nowhere." "I feel sorry for those boys," she told him. "They'll never get a chance to meet Bobo or the sunglass man. And I hear Trixie got herself a brand new hat." CJ stared out the window, feeling sorry for himself. He watched cars zip by on either side, watched a group of boys hop curbs on bikes. A man climbed aboard with a spotted dog. CJ gave up his seat. "How come that man can't see?" "Boy, what do you know about seeing?" Nana told him. "Some people watch the world with their ears." "That's a fact, and their noses too," the man said, sniffing at the air. "That's a mighty fine perfume you're wearing today, ma'am." Nana squeezed the man's hand and laughed her deep laugh. Two older boys got on next. CJ watched as they moved on by and stood in the back. "I sure wish I had one of those," he said. Nana sat down her knitting. "What for? You got the real live thing sitting across from you. Why don't you ask the man if he'll play us a song?" CJ didn't have to. The guitar player was already plucking strings and beginning to sing. "To feel the magic of the music," the blind man whispered, "I like to close my eyes." Nana closed hers too. So did CJ and the spotted dog. And in the darkness, the rhythm lifted CJ out of the bus, out of the busy city. He saw sunset colors swirling over crashing waves, saw a family of hawks slicing through the sky, saw the old woman's butterflies dancing free in the light of the moon. CJ's chest grew full, and he was lost in the sound. And the sound gave him the feeling of magic. The song ended, and CJ opened his eyes. Everyone on the bus clapped, even the boys in the back. Nana glanced at the coin in CJ's palm, and CJ dropped it in the man's hat. "Last stop on Market Street," Mr. Dennis called. CJ looked around as he stepped off the bus. Crumbling sidewalks and broken down doors, graffiti-tagged windows and boarded-up stores. He reached for Nana's hand. "How come it's always so dirty over here?" She smiled and pointed to the sky. "Sometimes, when you're surrounded by dirt, CJ, you're a better witness for what's beautiful." CJ saw, I'm gonna cry. Okay, no. CJ saw a perfect rainbow arcing over their soup kitchen. He wondered how his Nana always found beautiful where he never even thought to look. He looked all around them again at the bus rounding the corner out of sight, and the broken street lamp still lit up bright, and the stray cat shadows moving across the wall. When he spotted their familiar faces in the window, he said, "I'm glad we came." He thought his Nana might laugh, her deep laugh, but she didn't. She patted him on the head and told him, "Me too, CJ. Now come on." Isn't that great? That's a great story. Our joys and concerns are a little different today. I hope that you will take those yellow cards that you filled out if you had a joy or concern, and you will pass them to the front of your tables, and Gene will pick those up. And folks, beloveds on Facebook, you can write yours into the chat. As Unitarian Universalists, we say that the congregation is the classroom. You know what that means. It's in our interactions that we come to know the world and our place in it. But if week after week after week, all we do is come and receive one or two people's thoughts on the world, on the Spirit, we are simply alone together. Our learning and growing becomes stunted. We UUs believe that it is our sharing of ourselves, that brave task, and that it is in the act of receiving someone else, that task that creates and grows trust and connection to the world, that this is how we come not only to marvel at, but to engage in the depth and movement of the Spirit of life, of the human experience, of the interconnection of which we are but a part. And so we must create the space. So you have filled out a joys or concerns card or written in the chat. Gene has those. And I thank you. One more coming. Okay, yes, absolutely.
No, you could start without me. Go ahead.
I'm going to take a moment and drop a couple of stones into the water. You can peek at these stones later if you want. Today I brought some antique marbles from my grandparents. David, are there any joys and concerns on Facebook this morning? Not today. Gene, how about we drop some stones for the joys and concerns that we hold quietly in our heart, because I know that we all have them. We all have joys, and we all have concerns, because that's how the world works. I tell you what, let's also drop some stones for the joys and concerns that we might counter this week until we are together again. I would like to take 60 whole seconds of silence as we hold this ritual in our hearts. You can pray, you can be silent, whatever feels right to you. Take a breath with me. And out. As if on cue. Okay, now we start the 60 seconds over. It's okay. We take a breath and release. 60 seconds. Breathe again with me. Last breath with me. Gene.
It is time now for our offering. The important work of this fellowship is possible because of our members' contributions of time, talent, and treasure. If you are a guest with us today, we don't expect you to give anything because as members, we believe it is our responsibility to support our fellowship and the work that we do in this community. And so we'll ask our ushers to, what's the best way? Just to pass, yeah, it's actually easier today. Yeah, just pass it down the tables. And there are other ways you can give, of course, online. You can text, you can through our website, you can give, or checks and cash to the office. That's accepted. It works.
You know, we haven't met our pledge goals for this next year coming up for our budget goals. So if you haven't filled out a pledge form, I hope that you will. We are hoping to meet $120,000. Friends, bread communion is one of these Unitarian Universalist specific rituals that we do each year. And this year, as far as Christina and Fawn, who are our brilliant admins, as far as we can tell after doing a little digging, this is our 25th anniversary of celebrating this ritual every year at UUFF.
My first service was, I think, in 1993.
31? 31 years, at least.
So maybe we just missed a year when we looked back in the archives. Maybe we just missed one. Oh, wow. 31 years. 31 at least. Wow. Golly. That's a big deal. Our community has been celebrating gratitude every year for 31 at least years. And this is my 4th year in a row. Gene and I have done this. This is our 4th year together to do this service. The first one I did was on Zoom during COVID in 2021. Things are really different now. We get to share bread instead of, having to have our little bread at home. But I'm so glad that we have our online community joining us each week, and that we all get to share in the gratitude together. We come together as a spiritual community to break bread. Giving thanks for the ability to break bread is as old as bread itself. Those of you that have done this service with us before, would you say that it brings joy to you? Yes. It definitely does for me. Why? Why? Because in addition to service, like I shared with you in the opening words, gratitude does it too. It moves us out of our ego and into joy. I also figured out something else. I take bread for granted. The reality, I take food for granted. Maybe we all do. What if we were grateful for every meal? Instead of looking at our phones, we actually thought about the gratitude. What if we sat in gratitude with every bite? What would that be like? I mean, none of us are perfect. But what if we put a little more thought into gratitude? Gene, why should we?
Glad you asked that, Renee. Did you know there's been a lot of research about the benefits of gratitude? What is gratitude? It's the expression of appreciation for what one has. It's a recognition of value independent of monetary worth. And it's often just a spontaneous feeling, but it also can be a choice and a practice. The social emotion of gratitude strengthens relationships, and its roots run deep in evolutionary history, emanating from the survival value of helping others and being helped in return. Studies show that specific areas of the brain are involved in experiencing and expressing gratitude. And brain scans of people during a task that stimulates or simulates expression of gratitude shows lasting changes in the prefrontal cortex. Man, that's a lot of science. It's good for you. It's good for you. It reduces stress, increases healthy choices. Actually, I wasn't even looking for this, but my wife has been having trouble sleeping lately, like falling asleep, which I think a lot of us can at one time or another, or maybe it's an ongoing issue. Anyway, I just happened to come across this thing that said, thinking grateful thoughts near bedtime helps you fall asleep. And a breathing exercise that involves, listing things you're grateful for. So it's got all sorts of benefits. And it is something we can cultivate to feel grateful for our loved ones and colleagues who may or may not be loved ones, animals, our furry friends, nature, life in general, and It is, to me, it's a lot about people. I mean, I'm grateful for trees and fresh air and things, but a lot of mine turns to people. I'm grateful for just them being there, not necessarily anything they've done. Sometimes it is something they've done. People from my own past who helped make me into who I am.
Yeah.
And people who, maybe people even I've never met, but I've read their stories or seen them portrayed, and they've inspired me. I'm grateful. So I know you're about to talk about some more ways we can be grateful. For me, one way is to write down names, and if there's somebody that's still around, to write them a note or call them and say, I just wanted to thank you for the impact you had.
Oh. I'll be writing you a note, Gene.
Thank you. I'll write one back.
Thank you for that. So then, how can we be more grateful? I have this group of friends that I hang around with from all over the country, all over the world, really. And I consider them spiritual giants. On purpose, they live their lives by spiritual principles every single day. And you can see that the joy is all over their face. There is a radiant confidence that shines from them. Maybe it's gratitude. I'm not sure. But what I am sure about is I want what they've got. And I'm willing to do the work to get it. And so when one of them asked me to join a gratitude group, I jumped at the chance. All we do is when we get up in the morning, maybe we should do it at night to sleep better. I don't know. Okay. When we get up in the morning, we write a gratitude list, take a picture of it, and send it to each other. That's all it is. Takes 10 minutes. And at first, I resisted. Why? Why would I resist that? If I was listening to someone else tell me that they were taking 10 minutes every morning to do this, I would say, this is the most important 10 minutes of your day, my friend. So what's my problem? I don't know, but I do know that I wanted to impress these people. So I've been doing it every day. Every single day. And I cannot adequately describe to you the impact it has had on me. This is like one of those smaller notebooks, and I haven't even filled the page. It's just a list. It has changed my mood. It has changed the trajectory of my day for the better. It's really hard for me to feel sorry for myself or be angry when I've made a list of what I'm grateful for. And dear ones, for each of us, there is so much to be grateful for. Even with the stupid election, even with the wars on innocent people, even with climate injustice, even with the hateful laws being put into place against women and against queer folks like me, even with all the bad things in the world, yes, there's bad things in the world, but even then, there is so much to be grateful for. All of these bad things that are happening around us keeps us in fear. And where does fear live? The ego. Keeps us in the I place. Gratitude is one of the opposites of fear. We can come out of ourselves with service and gratitude. Come out of our fear with service and gratitude. And maybe I shouldn't be so surprised at the results of the gratitude list. Maybe I shouldn't be. But I am. even as a person who considers spirituality part of her job, I was really surprised. So I would encourage you in the mornings, and if you want, text me a picture of it. Make your gratitude list and see what happens. I've only been doing it for a week. I dare you. Try it for a week. See what happens. Okay.
All right. It's time to get that bread.
Get that bread.
So we're not going to eat it quite yet. We're going to tantalize you a little bit, but get some bread. Now did we end up with any gluten-free bread? I don't think anyone brought any. Sorry.
Like normal gluten-free bread, it just disintegrates before you get to have it.
We do have some vegan bread.
Vegan.
And let me pass that.
Wait.
Don't eat it. What?
I was just trying to quiet the congregation.
So this is vegan bread, and I'll pass it down, and we'll kind of snake through. So while we're talking, you can just keep passing that.
When I was researching this service, this was last year, and I was Googling all sorts of things about bread and gratitude and joy, I came across a poem by Paul Neruda. It's called An Ode to Bread. I heard from so many of you last year that you loved this poem. I think I'm going to wait on this. Let's let the bread circulate and happen. Yeah.
I jumped the gun a little bit
That's
on the
okay.
bread. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I forgot about the poem.
We don't need no freaking poem.
I would like to hear the thought.
Bread versus poem. Team bread, team poem.
I'll do the poem
man.
after the bread.
Okay. Bread is amazing, is it not? I mean, water into wine, that's a good trick, I'll admit. That's a good party trick. But grass into bread? Whoa. That's something. Yeah, keep that vegan bread so anyone who needs that can get it. Bread makes people excited.
Bread does make people excited. It's because it's sacred and holy.
And it tastes yummy. I asked my grandson, who's 5, we were talking about our favorite foods. You know, not everyone likes all the foods of Thanksgiving. Right?
And here comes the vegan butter.
Vegan butter, okay.
I'm sorry, Gene.
I forgot to pass that around. So we all have our favorite foods of the traditional foods of Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh.
Right, ones we like, ones we don't like. So we were all listing them, and it was his turn. He said, I'm going to give you a list of all my favorite foods for Thanksgiving. Turkey and bread.
Don't eat it yet. Don't eat it yet.
Don't you eat that bread.
Don't eat it yet.
Spit it out. No, you don't have to spit it out. I know some of us are children or have low impulse control. But
Go ahead and make sure you have a little glass of cider as well.
we have some more words before we
Yes, we have
partake.
more words.
Before we partake.
Okay, you need some bread and I need some bread.
Yeah, we need bread.
Gene, I brought bread. We need some spread. What kind of, where's the spread? Did any spread make it down here? There's some spread. All right. Yum. Thank you.
I'm good.
Don't eat it.
So I wanted to make sure you didn't hear that.
I heard the ask.
Hey, Gene, let's skip on to our communion today.
Okay. All right.
Okay? We're not going to, hey, y'all.
We're almost to the eating part.
Hey, Kate,
For
help
those
us
of who
quiet
haven't
everybody
already
back there.
started. Our communion today uses the symbol of bread to teach us about our connections.
You and I, we must eat to live. From our first breath, we are seeking nourishment. And when humans baked the first breads, they created a great source of not only food, but a loaf of life, and a symbol of life's entanglement with the universe around it.
Bread is made up of plants, of their ground up seeds and nuts and fruits into a flour. Bread ultimately is made up of earth and sunlight and water and air, all the elements of our being.
The elements are used to transform this flour, this dust, into bread. From the earth, a flour. Air feeds the fires, fire to transform the mixture of water and flour and your favorite ingredients, yeasts and other leavening agents that make air pockets as they use the warmth of the fire. The fire drying out the mixture to make it light, yet substantial.
We invite you now to pick up your bread, feel it in your hand, smell it, and taste it. Take a bite. Take another bite. And now you may want some water or juice. Thank you. To drink as well.
Now, look up from feeding yourself and look around. Look into the eyes of the others in your community. Thank them for sharing and breaking bread and eating bread together today. Thank them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tip your water or juice to them and do a communal toast.
May we always have clean air to breathe, cool water to drink, fire to warm us, and bread to nourish our souls. Hear, hear.
Hear, hear.
We'll take just a few more minutes to finish up our eating while I read to you the poem by Paul Neruda called Ode to Bread. Thank you. What did I say? I'm sorry. Pablo. I'm so sorry. Yes,
Pablo,
absolutely. Pablo Neruda. Thank you. Pablo Neruda is considered to be one of the most important Latin American poets ever. Hey, if you're talking, I am going to call you out. Okay. This is called Ode to Bread. Bread, you rise from flour, water, and fire, dense or light, flattened or round. You duplicate the mother's rounded womb and earth's twice yearly swelling. How simple you are, bread, and how profound. You line up on the baker's powdered trays like silverware or plates or pieces of paper, and suddenly life washes over you. There's the joining of seed and fire, and you're growing all at once. Like mounds of earth or people's lives. The temperature rises, you're overwhelmed by fullness, the roar of fertility, and suddenly your golden color is fixed. And when your little wombs were seeded, a brown scar laid its burn, the length of the two halves, toasted juncture. Now, whole you are, humankind's energy, a miracle often admired, the will to live itself. O bread familiar to every mouth, we will not kneel before you. Men do not implore unclear gods or obscure angels. We will make our own bread out of sea and soil. We will plant wheat on our earth and the planets. Bread for every mouth, for every person, our daily bread. Because we plant its seed and grow it, not for one man, but for all. There will be enough. There will be bread for all the peoples of the earth. And we will also share with one another whatever has the shape and the flavor of bread. The earth itself, beauty and love, all taste like bread and have its shape. The germination of wheat, everything exists to be shared and freely given, to multiply. That is why bread, if you flee from mankind's houses, if they hide you away or deny you, if the greedy man pimps for you or the rich man takes you over, if the wheat does not yearn for the furrow and the soil, then bread, we will refuse to pray. Bread, we will refuse to beg. We will fight for you instead, side by side with the others, with everyone who knows hunger. We will go after you in every river and in the air. We will divide the earth amongst ourselves so that you may germinate, and the earth will go forward with us. Water, fire, and humankind fighting at our side, crowned with sheaves of wheat. We will win earth and bread for everyone. Then life itself will have the shape of bread, deep and simple, immeasurable and pure. Every living thing will have its share of soil and life. And the bread we eat each morning, everyone's daily bread, will be hallowed and sacred, because it will have been won by the longest and costliest of human struggles. This earthly victory does not have wings. She wears bread on her shoulders instead. Courageously she soars, setting the world free like a baker borne aloft on the wind. Bread is important. Everywhere around the world, bread is so important. I have lost my order of service. Is it the hymn? Okay, let's sing our next hymn. Thank you. Let's sing our hymn. Here we have gathered. Sherry, go ahead in advance, would you? We sing now together hymn number 67. Wonder where my order of service is. That's okay. Thank you very much. All right. That was beautiful.
And as we finish this beautiful service, please join me in saying the words as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you again for being here. Thank you for everyone who helped with the setup or help us as we're about to take the tables down. For those, we're grateful. And those who brought bread and spreads. Man, that was good.
That was good.
I don't know, that was homemade? That was really, it tasted homemade. The one
I
had,
believe that all of it
good.
was made in some home. So, yeah.
Our announcements, we have a couple group meetings, and this Saturday, this is a fairly newer tradition. Sherry Withy leads a hike, family-friendly, so not too strenuous. And there are more details for all of these in your weekly email, e-news that you get on Thursday usually.
Don't forget to vote.
That's right, runoff election for mayor and city council.
You want to speak to Canopy?
To what?
Canopy?
Canopy, yes. Anyone that wants to be involved in helping immigrants who are resettling in this area, send me an email, which is on the back of your order of service. We're getting a good group of people who are going to help form a circle of friendship.
To help a family, a refugee family.
And then 2 weeks from today, this is important, the annual congregational meeting, which I've noticed some people are calling the congressional meeting, but not quite. Well, yeah, we're all represented, I guess. But this is very important. First of all, we have to have a certain number of people there to have a quorum so we can legally have. But this is our annual meeting to vote on our budget for next year, leadership, and other important matters. And it usually is not too painful. And it'll be right after our service 2 weeks from today.
Because of the holiday, Fawn Smith just texted me and asked me to let you know that the e-news for this coming week will probably go out today.
All right. And I think that's it on the announcements.
Okay. For our closing words then. This morning on my gratitude list was you and my job here. I cannot adequately express how grateful I am to be your minister. I feel like I was born to do this sacred work, and you are helping me be who I am supposed to be. Thank you. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart. I love you. And I'll see you next week. Namaste. Brenda.